everyone, I'm here with my friend Warren. You might recognize this airplane, the Cessna 180 that he flies in STOL competitions all across the country. And today he's going to show me a little bit behind the scenes at this really cool grass strip about how he prepares for some of these competitions.
Let's go fly some laps. Clear.
We're at this cool little grass strip and we got the place to ourselves. We're just going to do a couple laps and I'm excited to see how you do this. I don't fly STOL, so show me all your tricks.
So, one thing that's kind of unique to Skywagons is I actually take off with my trim full forward, and that just kind of helps me pick the tail up, so I can accelerate with the wings, you know, in a neutral attitude, so there's not a bunch of drag created by that.
Okay.
And then you'll see once you're up in the air, so we'll accelerate to a speed that we think is good to rotate at. I'll pop flaps and pull back on the yoke at about the same time. And then look out the flaps and we'll be trimming to fix that real quick. Otherwise, as the plane speeds up, the nose starts giving us a lot of forward pressure. So,
cool.
Always set this guy to the altimeter to the ground. We're just waiting for CHDs to come up, so we're good there right now.
All right.
All right, quick little checklist. I think we're good to go. Cow flaps open. All right, so we're gonna crosswind from the left here, which is gonna make it a little tricky, but we should be okay.
Confident in you.
You ready?
I'm ready.
See if we can get this tail up. Next one will be better.
Markley traffic air sector is 2 miles north at bound 18.
Your goal is to get the tail up before we roll?
Yeah, I like to get it up before it starts rolling, and then once the tail's up pretty high, it doesn't take a lot of pressure on the yoke to keep the tail up. But if you're trying to kind of force it from the ground out while it's rolling, it takes a lot of pressure. Now we're heavy, we got probably half tanks of gas.
Yeah, we're not an ideal STOL competition configuration, obviously with me even being here, but I just want to see the motions that you go through. Yeah, it's cool just to be a part of it. Very trendy lately.
It's pretty simple, we just do the same thing over and over and over.
You guys find some tough conditions though sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get to pick the conditions in the days, right? So
you're really an air show performer.
It's a sport, I hope.
Are you an athlete? Alright, so we're being the numbers.
Yep, I can see Kevin down there. We'll pull power out, get her nice and slow. I usually kind of get my trim set up as early as possible so I don't have to think about it or mess with it. Make sure our carb temps are nice and warm. And then so at some point in this approach, we'll get behind the power curve. You'll kind of feel the plane get there, and then we will be adding power to maintain altitude. Otherwise, it's just going to go straight down, right? And that's the slowest configuration I can fly it in. All right, so there's full flaps. And usually I'll get on the STOL horn a little early, but with it being somewhat gusty and windy, we'll just wait till we get a little closer.
Okay. Do you look for speeds or fly for feeling?
Really for feeling, so like I'm just trying to get a little closer, and you hear this, like right now I'm going to transition behind the power curve. You'll see me pull the nose up.
Yep.
There comes the stall warning, and then the plane's going to start dropping.
Yeah.
Now, and then I'm adding some power to arrest that. And now we're flying totally on feel. I'm going to land with the brakes on and dump the flaps as soon as we touch down. And we're hard on the brakes, tail up, tail up, tail up.
Ah, that's awesome.
It feels a little weird when you're on the brakes at first, but you get used to it.
Oh, this is such a different way of flying. That is so cool. So now you were full trim back.
Not all the way back, but pretty far back, yeah.
Okay, so then you just set it back forward for a takeoff.
Yeah,
again.
but if you're full trim back, your CG is probably too nose heavy, you know?
Okay.
Like we're probably pretty nose heavy right now, being two people and a bunch of gas in it.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing. I'm gonna aim a little left too. Alright, so trim and set, make sure it's full rich. Everything is nice and cold. We'll try this again, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Engine instruments in the green. I'm gonna try to pick the tail up a little higher this time and hopefully it'll stay up there.
Okay.
There we go, off the brakes. She's coming down. We're too heavy.
I'll lean forward.
So we rotated a little late there. You felt the plane just like jump right off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's a good indication that you let the plane speed up too much before rotating, right?
What engine do you have in this plane?
I got the 0470J,
Okay.
which is what it came with, and it's the least powerful of all the 0470s.
Okay.
And I am upgrading to a 520 from Texas Skywagon.
I'm so excited for you. That's gonna be a game changer.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be interesting because it's a heavier motor.
Yeah.
And it might, yeah, I'll probably end up, I think I'm gonna end up being like one of those where you save 10 feet on the takeoff and then lose it on landing because you're a little heavier.
Well, if it cruises faster to get to your competition,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a plus.
Yeah, everything's gonna be quicker. I think it'll be a better all-around airplane.
Alright, back in the downwind.
We'll try to tighten it up a little bit.
A beam or like.
I see Kevin on the other side. We'll do the same thing, right? Just kind of fly it in normally and get behind.
Cessna 632 Kilo, simulating emergency to runway 18, Immokalee.
We'll get behind the power curve at the very last second.
A really nice crash strip.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Alright, so right here I'm going to start pulling power and I'm going to lift that nose up.
Uh-huh.
And you'll see it drop right there. Then we add power to arrest that. A little gusty.
Yeah. That is so cool. It feels so wrong because in my plane, I guess, yeah, it just feels wrong because you feel like, you know, tail wheels, you're not supposed to stomp on the brakes. So how are you counteracting that?
So I actually land on the brakes pretty hard.
Okay.
They
like
will
touching down with it?
Yeah, I got brakes on when I touch down, and at first there's a lot of friction, so that that friction overcomes the brakes. But then the gear will kind of give, and it'll skid, and then it'll catch again and skid, and then obviously as the tail gets high, you start letting off the brakes just a hair, and
That
it's pretty
way you don't
easy
go
to.
Forward.
Yeah, it's not very hard to figure out. It comes kind of intuitively.
Thing.
Want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more. It's such a different feeling to fly like this. It's kind of against everything that you're taught when you're becoming a pilot.
Yep.
So it's a lot of, yeah, feelings and inputs that you're not used to doing.
So since we cannot keep that tail up, I'm going to just take off without all the forward pressure on the yoke.
Okay.
I think in this configuration, you know, putting all that pressure on the yoke creates a bunch of drag. The tail's not up high, so there's no point in in trying to do that, right?
Yeah, let's try something different.
But I'm still going to take off full trim forward.
And what size bush tires are you running on this?
I'm running 31s right now. I ran 29s before. 29 is probably the sweet spot for it, but bigger just looks cooler.
Yeah, I agree.
Alright, so windows closed, pressure's full rich. Engine instruments look good.
Yep.
Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Just a little bit of forward pressure this time. Another one that's a hair late. So it's better to rotate late than early.
Uh-huh.
Because obviously it pops right off the ground as soon as you rotate. If you rotate early and the plane's not ready to fly, you've just induced all the drag into the airframe and it'll
Right back on the ground.
it just stays on the ground for an extra 100 foot, it feels like.
Oh.
It's like the worst feeling ever when you rotate early and the tail just slams on the ground and the plane isn't coming off.
I've done that before when I owned my Cub.
Yep.
I was like, oh. So when you're rotating essentially while adding flaps. You kind of do those in unison.
Yep. Yeah, so we don't want to put flaps in before because that's just drag while we're trying to accelerate to that speed that we're going to rotate at, right?
That's why these old Johnson bar flaps are
A must.
key to STOL.
You have to. You know, we got a guy in a Cherokee that flies, well, I think it might be an Archer, but either way, a little 180 horsepower Cherokee low wing with Johnson bar flaps, and you know, being able to hit a spot landing with those is so easy because as soon as you get to the line, you just dump the flaps, pull the nose up, and it stalls.
They're so cool. I love those type of flaps.
You want to try one?
Nope. You're doing great. Thanks though.
We'll cheat a little bit and come in at an angle. In a STOL competition, we do that. Like we're looking for the angles and we're trying to get every little bit of advantage we can. So there's the drop. A little fast this time. That's a better braking. Boom.
Wow! That's the best.
Yeah, that's fun.
So most people might recognize your 46 number, but tell everyone where this comes from.
So I grew up in South Africa and we watched a bunch of MotoGP back there. Valentino Rossi's the greatest of all time. He retired last year, I think. And I've just always loved the guy. I loved the way that he looked. And you know, I loved his colors.
Does he know about your branded plane?
I don't know. I do not know.
I hope he reaches out to you one day, because your branding is on point. You have it on the outside, on the panel, on your shoes, on your helmet, on your one wheel. I'm like, this man knows branding.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? Is like he's got all this cool merch, and I get to wear it everywhere, and it looks like my.
And it's like yours. I love it. So cool. Well, thank you for taking me on a couple laps. This is really awesome, and I want to do more of this.
Yeah, come join us.
Thanks.
See ya.